everyone, thank you for joining me on this very quick YouTube tutorial. Here we will be moving a dart in a pattern piece. I have decided to use the front bodice of a sloper. If you don't have a sloper, that's okay. Use a store-bought pattern. Make sure to trace this without seam allowance. Here I am marking the apex of my darts and using a ruler to draw them into the piece. This is important. Next, I've cut my piece out, and I'm using scissors to cut from one edge of the dart into the apex of the top of the dart. From here, I will take some masking tape and move the darts together so that the seam lines will meet, and I'm taping them together. Essentially, I am assembling what the finished piece might look like sewn. From here, it's a fun process of deciding where you want your dart. I have chosen the center front. This, one point of note, means that I will also need to add seam allowance to my front. It can no longer be on the fold. From here, you simply cut where you just drew and release the tension, and effectively you've now moved your darts. They are in whatever place you have decided. This is really fun for color block garments, and I bet you're gonna have a lot of fun with it. Now I am tracing out this new pattern piece you've just created. Trace it just as you did from the beginning, making note of all of the notches and the armhole notch markers and your new darts. Using a transparent ruler, mark your seam allowance. You may add whatever width seam allowance you prefer. Just make it consistent. You want to add all of your seam allowance in throughout the entire piece, unless a garment is specifically on the fold. Be sure and mark your grain line. And continue the edges of the seam line of the darts into your seam allowance. This goes for all of the notches as well. Using scissors or a notcher, be sure to clip where your stitch lines are for the dart. This will translate onto the fabric and give you a guide when you're sewing your darts. Make sure to label your pattern with as much information as possible so you know what you're cutting from many years into the future. I'm using sample fabric here to assemble this just to make sure the fit is correct and that it stitches together well. Also, if you're ever working with stripes and patterns, try to match them up as much as possible. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Jvon Stratton. I sure do hope that you learned something today. Please feel free to comment below if you have questions, and also join me on Patreon at www.patreon.com/JvonStratton for more super cool tutorials. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.